this is lesson 1.4 for 8th grade accelerated math, and today what we're going to do is we're going to continue with our use of equations and solving equations, but we're also going to bring in some previous knowledge of parallel lines. So last year you learned about parallel lines, and so if we look at these two lines a little bit more closely, we see that this line right here, line A and line B, they're parallel, and the reason we know that they're parallel is because these symbols right here tell us that they are. Now, one thing that you learned about these parallel lines is when you have a transversal, which is what line C is, when you have it go through the two parallel lines, it creates these relationships with these angles. So it creates these angles, but they have relationships. And so let's talk about some of the different things that we know. First of all, one of the things that's true is that we have vertical angles. Vertical angles are formed by two intersecting lines, and they're the two angles that do not touch. So those are vertical angles. And vertical angles are always congruent or equal to each other. So what's another set of vertical angles that we see in this picture? And this is also answering number 5. And so we can write vertical angles are 2 and 3. What are some other examples of vertical angles in this picture? There's 3 other examples. So go ahead and write at least 1 or 2 more. Okay, another thing that happens is we already know that 2 and 4 are supplementary because added together they equal 180, and that's something we know because that is a straight line. What's another set of angles that are supplementary? So you could say 1 and 2, or you could say 1 and 3, or you could say 3 and 4, and then you can go down to the other set and do those too. However, there are some other ones. And this also says that if you have a straight angle. But there's some other ones that we learn as well. Okay, so if we have these lines, well, maybe let's talk about this in a second. We've got a couple different types. And so down here in number 1, 2, 3, and 4, we've got different types of angles that we see. Now, number 1, I feel like those are some of the most important angles, the corresponding angles. And corresponding angles would be like 2 and 6 are corresponding. They're both on the same side of the transversal, and they're both above the parallel line. Okay, so what's another example of corresponding angles? There's actually 3 more examples of corresponding angles in this picture. So another example could be 3 and 7. Can you name some others? Alternate interior angles. Alternate means different, and interior means inside. So if you think about these as walls, then these are interior angles right there. And alternate would be on different sides of the transversal. So 3 and 6 would be alternate interior angles. What's another set of alternate interior angles? There's one more. Number 4, we'll just skip to that one, alternate exterior angles. So again, if you think of your parallel lines as walls, these are exterior angles. So what is a set of alternate exterior angles? Do you remember that? So go ahead and write the 2 sets down for alternate exterior. Now, the other thing that happens, and maybe you don't remember this, but what happens is angle 4 and angle 6, these are called same side interior. They're also called consecutive interior. It just kind of depends on your teacher and what they like to say. I usually say same side interior. But same side interior angles, they are supplementary to each other. They add to be 180. So another set of supplementary angles we would say is angle 4 and angle 6. They add together to be 180. And next year, when we get to secondary 2, we'll actually be proving that that's true. But I can just tell you right now why it's true. So if we said, let's see how I want to do this. Angle 8 and angle 5 are the same. Angle 5 and angle 6 equal 180. So that would mean that actually I don't even need to say that. Hold on, back up. I can say that angle 8 and angle 6 are 180. That's true. And I can also say that angle 8 and angle 4 are equal because they're corresponding. So that would mean that angle 4 plus angle 6 is equal to 180. So that's basically how that's true. Okay, number 6 and 7, give me an angle that's equal to angle 1. There's a lot of different options. Give me an angle that's equal to it. Number 7, give me an angle that's equal to angle 2. Number 8, measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 is equal to what? Now, when it's written like this with an M, that means a number. So the measure of angle 1 is like, I don't know, 60 degrees. And I'm not asking you how many degrees it is, but I'm saying what is the angle plus this angle? How many degrees is it? You're going to give me a number. The measure of angle 7 plus the measure of angle 8. Okay, so both of those actually end up to be 180 degrees. That's what those are. Oh, and I take it back. On number 6 and 7, because it says the measure, you can't just say like angle 1 is equal to angle 4. You can't do that. You have to say the measure of angle 4. Okay, so you need to write that. So that's one of the examples. Okay, now the last part of this, and you're going to have this picture on your homework as well. It's going to be exactly the same picture. Okay, so you can just, it's the same idea. We're not looking at specific degrees of these angles, but we're just looking at the situation. It says on for 10 through 12, it says for each problem, write an equation and then solve. You may write your answer as a decimal, so that's unusual, so you can do that here. If the measure of angle 3 is 115 and the measure of angle 1 is 5w minus 20, find w. So first off, we need to figure out what's the relationship between angle 3 and angle 1. So look at your picture. What do I know about angle 3 and angle 1? Well, I know that they add to equal 180. So since I know that the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 1 equals 180, that means I know that 115 plus 5w minus 20 equals 180, and I can solve that equation. So I'm going to combine my like terms. I'm going to subtract 95, and I'm going to divide by 5. Now let me show you a way to do this without a calculator. You can say 5 goes into 85 by saying 5 goes into 8 one time with 3 left over, and 5 goes into 35 7 times. So w is equal to 17. Okay, number 11. If the measure of angle 5 is 3x minus 7 and the measure of angle 6 is 5x plus 3, find x. Well, first of all, what is the relationship between angle 5 and angle 6? So look at the picture. They add together to be 180. So you're going to write another equation. So 3x minus 7 plus 5x plus 3 equals 180. Solve it. 3x and 5x, negative 7 plus 3, add 4, 8x is equal to 184. Okay, try that division again with no calculator. Divide by 8, divide by 8. So 8 doesn't go into 1, but it does go into 18, and it goes in there twice. So 2 times 8 is 16, so that means there's 2 left over. So 8 goes into 24 3 times. So x is equal to 23. Okay, and then for number 12, the measure of angle 8 is 60, the measure of angle 5 is 4x minus 4, find x. So again, find the relationship between 5 and 8. So look at the picture. 5 and 8, they're not going to add to be 180. They're going to be equal to each other. So 60 is equal to 4x minus 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So 64 is equal to 4x. Divide by 4, divide by 4, x is equal to 16. So on your homework, you're going to be looking to see what the relationships are and then set up an equation for that. Okay, the last part is just review, and so I'm going to leave that for you. I'm not going to go through that on the video. I'm going to have you just go ahead and do that. I do want you to complete this, okay? But you can check it on the notes if you feel like you need to. I'll do one of these just to show you what I mean. So, like on number 14, x is greater than or equal to 8, so we need to write it as an inequality. It's already written as an inequality, and then an interval notation. So if you need to, you might want to draw a number line for it, but in the end, your answer should be that. That's what I'm looking for. So on 13 through 16, that's how that's going to look. On 17 and 18, you're going to actually have to solve it. So you're going to end up with like w is greater than something, or w is less than something, and then you're going to also write that as an interval. So you can look on the notes if you don't really understand, or if you feel like you need help for one, but try to do them yourself and see what you can do. Once you get going on your homework, remember that you're going to do that, and then you're going to do the answer key, and you're going to check and make sure that you've got it right and that you understand and that you don't have any questions. And if you do have questions, you need to bring them to me and ask, and I will help you. And then we do have a test coming up for Unit 1.